So this sad fast is a day of introspection. It's a day of connection. It's a day of remembering. It's a day of loss. And basically what we do is that we don't eat from sunset to sunset, which is happening this coming Saturday night to Sunday night. And during this day, we don't learn Torah. We sit on the floor. We read sad things. We connect to the pain, to the loss, not just of something that happened a very long time ago. Because I asked myself this question a lot. Like recently, my friend was like, "Oh, you're gonna fast on Tisha B'Av?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course. I always fast on Tisha B'Av." But then I was like, Yarin, but why truly do you fast on Tisha B'Av? And many of our sages and the commentary says that, like, if you're fasting just for the sake of fasting and you're not actually doing the introspection and the work, it doesn't really count. So really, when we're doing these fasts, even if they're just minor fasts, we have to be doing the real work, and the real work means doing the inner work and the introspection. So on Tisha B'Av, a very sad day, really our work is to be in the pain. A lot of us try to run away from the pain. A lot of us try to not see it, not feel it. But really, Tisha B'Av is an invitation to sit with it, to sit with the pain, to sit with the story that we're in. And the story, if anything, now is so real. And we're not fasting to inflict pain on ourselves. We're not fasting as punishment. We're fasting to disconnect from the physical and to wake us up, and to wake up to the fact that this is a fast that's about the destruction of the two temples and a longing for the third temple. And what is the third temple? The third temple, it says, is going to be a place, bet tefillah lekol ha'amim, a house of prayer for all the nations, that the whole world will see that there is one God, that there will be peace, Bezrat Hashem, and there will be unity amongst each other, amongst the nation, and amongst ourselves. And the thing that the Torah teaches us is that Am Yisrael, the Jewish people, are meant to spearhead this mission. And the only way that we can do that is by having peace and unity within ourselves. Now, if you follow Israeli politics, or if you follow anything that happens in Israeli society, you'll see that that is exactly the opposite. And that there is so much divide, politically, socially, on every level. And basically, the whole idea is that the world will continue picking on us and hating us. And anti-Semitism will continue to rise until we learn what our real task is in this world. And that is to be an Ola Goyim, a light unto the nations, to bring the word of God, to bring the word of oneness, and to be in true unity and true love. And that obviously starts within ourselves. When I can start making peace between every single part of me, that is how I can bring harmony to my life. And that is how I can bring harmony to my family, and so on. And I mean, it doesn't just end on a personal level, but also on a collective level. So Tisha B'Av is really a day of sitting with that pain and sitting with that loss and doing the work of introspection. And I see it as a twofold thing. So the first one is remembering that I'm part of the story, remembering that this is not something that happened many, many years ago. This is a continuous story, and that I am an active character in the story, and I have a role to play. So that's the first thing that Tisha B'Av reminds me. The second thing that it reminds me is that it's not about fasting. Like, even if you don't fast, even if you fast imperfectly, even if you're like, I'm gonna not eat, I'm gonna drink, or I'm gonna not eat anything and not drink anything, but just have a coffee, whatever it is that you can do, the point is that the work on this day is to do the introspection, and that's what's very important. Now, a thing that happens before Tisha B'Av, which is kind of cool, it's called Shabbat Chazon, and Shabbat Chazon means the Shabbat of vision, and it happens this coming Shabbos. And basically it says that on this Shabbos we get a vision of the third temple and of our perfected selves. So this Shabbat, if you can, take a few moments, maybe when you're lighting Shabbat candles, or even just in the afternoon, wherever you can, but really to just imagine what this house of prayer of all the nations can be, what your role is, what you in your ultimate self is, when you feel whole, when you feel full, when you feel desired and good and loved. What does she feel like? And I think a lot of times, we can see things on a mental level. When we say chazon, we think about the vision, but the vision just isn't about the image. The vision is about the feeling. So what does that really feel like? So as we said, we have Rosh Chodesh leading up to the 9 days, leading up to Tisha B'Av, and then we have something really cool that's happening, which is Tu B'Av. And this is a paradox of the Jewish calendar, is that we have the saddest day of the year, and then 6 days later we have the happiest day, which is Tu B'Av, the day of love. And this was a day where in temple times a woman would go dance in the fields in their white dresses, in circle dances, it says, and the men would come and they would pick a wife, and this was their way of doing matchmaking, and it was also a way of creating connection and peace between the tribes. So it was really a day of reconnection. And today it's more of like a kitschy Valentine's Day in Israel, but I think for those who know the deeper meaning, the cosmic meaning, the Kabbalistic meaning, can really connect to the depths of this day. So this paradox of having the saddest day and the happiest day within 1 week in the Jewish calendar, I think really just emphasizes that Judaism is all about withholding the paradox of exile and redemption, of pain and of joy. You know, we experience it in a Jewish chuppah when a bride and a groom stand on the chuppah and he smashes the glass. And it's even in our happiest times, we remember the destruction and continued exile of Jerusalem. You know, we also see it on Yom HaZikaron and Yom HaAtzmaut, which is Remembrance Day and the Day of Independence, where we go from like the saddest day ever to the happiest day ever. And I think that that the Jewish calendar and like Jewish wisdom is all about like just stretching our hearts wide enough to be able to withhold the paradox of this life and of being a Jew. And I think that that is what gives us the resilience. And I think that that's really the message of this month of Av. It's a month of pain, but really the month of paradox and the month of opportunity. This period of time in general is called Ben HaMetzarim, between the straits. And if you remember in previous videos, we spoke about how Metzarim, which is also the root of the word Mitzrayim, which means Egypt, is the very narrow spaces. And we spoke about Egypt being the womb, and then the Meitzarim, basically, which is like the birth canal, being creating constriction so that something new can be born. So even this time, it's a time where we feel very constricted, where there's a lot of sadness, when there's just like fire of summer and the fire of destruction, really is an opportunity for something new to be reborn. So with that, I will end. Feel free to like or share or subscribe, or let me know what else you wanna hear from me. But we'll see you soon. Chodesh Tov. Have a good fast if you're fasting, and may it be an introspective one.